Inner child adults is what I call a functional adult, 5D collective member, those who embody pure consciousness, pure energy. So our whole 3-year-old heart. Okay, so those are the people that get to perceive the ascension energies with breakthroughs and consistent flow state, because even when we stub our toes, and master, we know how to make flowers out of our emotions. Okay, so this is where we have another episode. I don't know which one's going to come out first, but there's how feminine and masculine, they harmonize with our lovely 5D ascension energies for those who do spiritual self-help and mindful life and love. And here we'll just chit-chat some more about the you being you and the invigorating feeling of it. So again, you have a whole 3-year-old heart, which means you have a whole self. So you have a sense of self. You're aware of the narrative, relational, the core. You're aware also of the fact that other people are not here. So the ones who want to shame, blame, fault, revenge, those are individuals who are still on a healing journey, and they don't navigate the plane of enlightenment with neutrality. So being able to be equanimous is the integrated brain's capacity and the restorative embodiment self person, and that's where mindfulness and mindset are used effectively. Otherwise you'll just see it as a performance. So we notice those who don't have breakthrough energy, okay, and that would be basically any mantle that is wanting to shame, blame, fault, and do revenge. So they look like the squirrels from Cusco land, and they actively are porous boundaryless. They don't know how to have conversations with people. The ones of us who do, it's why we don't use, gaslighting, ghosting, manipulation in any form of conversation. Actively, an authentic human being will talk. So I get to be Maria. If your behavior, whether it's maladaptive or adaptive, or porous boundaries or not, whatever it is, low self-esteem, I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm low self-esteem, you know that? So we're going to talk about a couple of those examples, because I also wanted to bring you some tower moments, because the feminine is way more awakened than the masculine. Yes, it's true. But we don't say it we don't say it in a way of we're meaning to sound better. Okay, so I have plenty of masculines around who in one moment or shape or time, they've said, you don't know everything, Maria. And I'm like, yes, I don't know everything. I just know something. And so I'm going to talk about that one. One of my friends, he is quite the masculine. And he's the one that I did not talk to for 5 years. And so he had a huge tower moment happen. That in fact, when you go and look at all that was dismantled, it actively was dismantling the limiting belief and beliefs of what at that moment in time he wanted and felt was the ideal lifestyle. Okay, so let me break it down to tangibly. I got the woman of my dreams, I got the money of my dreams, I got perfection. Okay, so anyone who hear these words, please do remember, I am a 5D mystic, and that means I'm a spiritual person who loves Jesus. 5D is the Christ consciousness. So I don't use it as an identifier. I use it because 5D is Christ consciousness, oneness consciousness, and the state of consciousness of the integrated brain, people who do know forgiveness in and out, and we in fact know it here. It's called my heart doesn't close, my heart doesn't break, it's a muscle. It's called my heart stays open, which is where the Holy Spirit gets to say hello and our light body expands, and the only people who want to stay divided from spirituality are the ones who want to keep those words fixed in stone, and we leave it alone. So I call them the left brainers. It's the people who don't expand beyond their limiting beliefs, and therefore they don't have breakthrough energy. In fact, they don't dissolve limiting narrow states of consciousness. They also don't create out of their human story their enriched, embodied depth. So what is missing typically from people who are doing mindfulness that I see is the part of how they are living it, because they create a distance from the emotion. And that's because we have, again, a Zen master talks about laundry. So the minute you're talking about your emotions as laundry, and not as, sadness comes up, but it's not in my temporal junction. I'm using my prefrontal cortex. Let me explain it to you. The minute someone's trying to say you don't feel emotions, because they're giving you the technical aspect of how the brain works and that there's one place that the emotions go through. Okay, so there's so many different pieces of information that you can learn about how you are human experience emotions, and I'm bringing to the depth of it so that you can understand it, since you're interested in mindset, mindful living, and mindsight, and being spiritual if you are. And then, like I said, I'm a 5D mystic. So with that, my friend, this tower moment, it's a big ascension energy moment, and I will never forget, because I was going through some stuff too, and my chakras were upgrading to the 5D vibration alongside our planets. I know the timeline of the ascension journey, and we're still on it, and so I know where we're at. So I knew already some mystic stuff, but my friend, he's not a mystic. In the meantime, my twin flame and then flames came about, and so this is a friend that accompanies me in life. He's in fact in my future life, for example. And when I told him what life he's living, he said, "Yep, that's me." I said, "I know that's you," because I've known him. So again, I got the woman, I got the money, I got everything. I'm living the life. Okay, so my friend is a person who, when I met him, I chose him. I said, "You're my herd." He chose me, and we stayed friends. But my friend is an active asshole. He's a clown. He wears a face, but all people wear a face unless they're their authentic self. And in fact, he's the one who taught me about how masculines do not actively choose, unless they do, go to therapy and then become mindfully aware. Or if they don't need therapy, they become authentic. One or the other. Let me pause, because I know masculines, the empowered ones, and some of them, yes, they went to therapy and they're still going. Yes, actively, yes. Others, they're very aware and they are very caring. They care about their herd, and so they found meaning to move into becoming their own feminine, so inner child adult, by wanting to engage with their herd, so with people, in a way that involves compassion. So they chose to live that life of meaning and connection beyond the soul self. Don't have to be spiritual, but that's that true spirituality life. Okay, so they will tease about my mysticism, but they don't tease it in a way of actively dismissing it. And then we have those masculines who know what I go through, and that is really enriching. So that one has really been fun to be able and experience with that lovely masculine who has tended to take in one of their additional parts as we got to have a moment together and exchange that. And so that was really beautiful. So back to my friend and the story. And so any ascension energy time, again, you'll have things take place. If you're embodying yourself, you'll know, and you won't distance it. So you don't talk about your life, use your human name, as the spirituality journey. Yes, we use words, the inner growth journey, but what I'm saying is when you're experiencing it, to embody it fully, this is why mindful love, mindful living, means that I'm in my prefrontal cortex. There's an active way you'll know this, because you'll feel enriched. This is why my masculine friend, he noticed I was not enriched by the 1 month that I took, 1 or 3 months trip. Yes, I had fun, did all the activities that are said to be, it's Pinocchio on the island, okay? And so this is the moment of truth when a masculine notices their feminine, and this is void. And I chose to take those actions, but I'm not shaming me, not blaming me, not revenging me, not doing the inner outer critic. I'm not going to do the shame cycle. I'm not going to do the karma thing. Not going to stay within a limiting belief. I'm not going to use my ego, my left mode, and myself to battle each other. I'm going to harmonize the self, the heart, and the God, and all. Okay, so that's called, I'm moving into being mindfully aware of myself. I'm focusing the attention in my awareness. I'm dealing with uncertainties, unexpecteds, unwanteds from my own heart, from within, knowing myself, my body, your body, not mine, yourself, your life. The self of you has a 0-1-year-old attached, panicky, a 3 to 7 shame submissive, a freeze of all ages, 11, 12 flight, and 14, 15, 16 your fight. They are not charged when you are the higher self of you, which is where the 5D collective is at. So we don't romanticize and we don't demonize. We don't feel bad for anyone that's insulting. And so anybody who wants to say it is hard, to those of us who are not saying it's easy, but we're saying it's not hard either. Okay, so when somebody is reactive, it's called projection. The minute that I'm at ease and you're uncomfortable with my ease state is the minute that I know I could say, wow, you really want me to be uncomfortable, huh? I guess you want me to suffer. And that's not nice. You're not a nice friend, you know that? I think I'm going to leave because you want me to suffer. I actively have never done any of this, but basically I've thought, wow, they're actively telling me I'm toxic positive, toxic happy, I got some shit going. I mean, if only I chose to say, I guess you really want me to be miserable. Guess I'm not making you happy, huh? So here's where we don't waste our time. Again, a feminine doesn't waste time because I actively know tick-tock, tick-tock. That's why the feminine doesn't use time to capture anyone. Capturing is a survival mode of a brain that is wanting to attach, and I know you don't want to stay, and I don't want to hold you, and that would be me. It would be me taking away your free will, by the way. It would actively be me not loving you. Okay, so this is why a feminine will not become the squirrel from Cusco land. That is where this Cusco land squirrel is the blamers and the martyr superiors. They're porous boundaries. They have not yet claimed their inner child, become their inner child adult. They don't want to go to therapy. They actively justify their maladaptive and adaptive child pattern behaviors, and they call that love, and they actively think suffering has to be, which it doesn't. We have enough bountiful information that shares, and again, here I have it too, so I share it as well. Okay, so that breakthrough energy, we have it consistently, the 5D collective, because we're inner child adults, we're owning it, we're window of welcome emotions, window of welcome thoughts, it's soft, it's keeping on going, so you got a prefrontal cortex down. So my friend, he doesn't participate in any of this, by the way, but the story is everything got taken from him. I knew what was going on in the meantime. I got to expand all of my lovely concepts, so loving more than one person, having more than one twin flame. Then there was actively more of my clairs coming around and online, and actively meeting members of my oversoul and engaging with members of my oversoul. That basically, let's just put it this way, gave me a lot of important experiences and clear stuff that has happened. So putting all that to side, I knew what I was going through, and my friend, he's a friend, so I got to share it with him. So his first tower moment was where everything got taken away, and as he came around, I and him became friends again. This was after the 5 years, so I had my expanding learning lesson. He had his shit show, not expanding, but he was grateful and thanked me, and I said, you know, this is what friends are for, no reason to thank me. And that was where I learned, though, that clowns and assholes are clowns and assholes because they fear rejection. I had already learned that kids fear telling you the truth because my teenage years taught me that. And I don't care to try and prove truth because either you're going to be in my life or not, and I'm not going to, again, try to hold on to you. You're free to come and go as you please. I'm busy with life. So my lovely solo poly secure community, they know all about that. We love for real. That's why we can add to our love circle, and we're not saying it because we're traumatized or masochists. Some of us have healthy self-worth. So we say it because it's the truth. So that's the part. We don't lie to our lovers. We say, you're not the only man I love, and that's always going to be the case. No, you can take it or leave it. Eric, I got a tail. You choose. And what's nice is when you meet empowering men who actively react the way that I told, and actually it's responding, but it's not even that. They actively had the curiosity. So they had the reaction of, even though it's not a reaction, but still instinct. Instinctively, they got curious, they were open to it, and that's because they are using, in fact, their prefrontal cortex. That's why they're an empowering man. Curious, open, accepting, and loving. So you're polyamory. I'm into you. I would love to know more about this. Tell me more. Tell me more. And no fighting. Okay, so empowered men and women and they get curious, not defensive. They don't hold back. They actually talk more. So you know love, and you know people who are actual masculines and feminines for a person who uses these words interchangeably, but actual means the grown-up. Because until you're pretending, basically, quote unquote, you're a automaton of your own 16-year-old who's not tending to your inner child, okay? And not automaton is in an insulting way. It's your unconscious is on go. So your first 3 years of age is implicit memory. And there are scientist people who share how you live out those first 8 years of your life. And so I've noticed that as long as people don't hear what words come out of their mouth because they're interested in their solo self, in a way of living that life of meaning and connection beyond the solo self. So they will continue to live this left mode that tells them stories, and it picked it up from the people around them, and the emotions are of an adaptive child part, and it's basically all of them as a child, and so they're not flexible, they're rigid, they're unforgiving, they get spiky, Okay, so my friend, in the meantime, he has his tower moment, I have mine, I'm expanding. He does not want his clairs, and he actively is sharing with me how I don't want to be any more different than I already am. So that's where I know he's afraid, and not in a good or bad way. It makes sense because, you know, there's others that I had met, they denied, meaning they shut their clairs off because they felt very, very upset. And so that's where they are in that position of thinking and feeling like a blamer will from the codependent group. And that's not because they'll blame necessarily, but it's because the blamer in the codependent group, from this lovely meme that Patrick Tiahan drew, are the ones who think that they've done everything for everyone always, and everybody leaves them all the time. And so it's like the weight of the world on your shoulders. And that's actively why these people didn't want their clairs, because they felt that they did something wrong, and it was in a very sad way, and they actively felt that they were to be blamed, like they could have done something, instead of being aware, I'm a human, I'm flawed, I'm imperfect, clairs are not a for sure deal. I can uncharge that emotion, and I can also work with my thoughts. This is when you're expanding and not staying within a limited belief and also limited emotion, which is charged, by the way. So you're consistently expanding with yourself when you're participating, like my empowered man friend who is curious about the polyamory versus being protective, defensive, and saying, no, how dare, you know. So this is where it was something completely beautiful to hear. It was we really have a great time, and I like in the past, and it's a past experience, but the point is the way that it went about was, I'm into this human being in a most amazing a way. Why would I say no? Because they don't do monoamory. I really feel the connection. So that's a masculine with their own feminine who feels the connection and says yes to love, even though they're not a person who's polyamorous. And so they don't close themselves off. They don't judge a person for being different. And that's an open-minded human being who's empowered. This is why they can be with someone who's completely different and be happy and curious about it, and continue to talk about that experience in a positive way, because it did end. But not because it was something bad, the polyamory situation, because it didn't continue going. However, it's the way that you will remember those relationships and talk about them that will show other people, like anyone who's empowered, how amazing it is, because you're cherishing all of your connections, which is actively where you'll find those who are part of the 5D collective, because again, that forgiveness and that unconditional love is what we embody. So our inner child adult is appreciative, and so we can talk about complaints, but we don't do it with a charge as if we were given the short end of the stick. Okay, so my friend, he learned things from his tower moment, but he didn't want his clairs, and eventually he settled into where he's at now. The other lesson that I was wanting to share was this as well, was where no matter how many years we've known each other, no matter how big of a quote-unquote asshole he is, so thinking that he can speak the truth to my face, he uses formalities, he uses political correctness, he uses a mask. And when I got the wind world of this, at a certain point, this was after we became friends again, and I had shared with him, I want you to just be you. And so I'm finding out you're not being you, because see, if you have thoughts and beliefs and you have interests and you're not informing me of them and letting me be a participant of them, okay, and I might have shared this in our other new moon messages now that I'm thinking about it, but we'll continue, and then we'll move away from it as the light goes out. So I end up finding out that my friend is completely uninterested in all of the mystic, God, spiritual topics, that he doesn't believe in any of it. And when I hear that, I correct course, of course, so I don't talk to him about any of this stuff, because it's not a good use of our time. But I also was pretty much upset, and then I had the aha lesson and expansion of, okay, people don't know how to tell you the truth unless they're authentic. To this day, it's only when you meet an authentic human being that you're going to know what they think for real, instead of them being basically what is to me a teenager who doesn't know how to say something. Are there people who take offense? Yes. And anyone who's empowered knows how to say, I'm so sorry that I was offensive. I will remove myself from the situation. So happy to meet you. They want formalities. Here's your formality. Now I'm out. Bye. See you later, alligator. I'm going to be with people I can actually have a conversation with. There's no depth here. There's a person who doesn't know how to handle their emotional plane. I want to have an in-depth conversation. If you have a self that is small because you haven't yet gotten to enrich yourself, this is not something that I need to match. But I will match the decency, the frequency of, I am a human, so I know you want formalities, you want me to be polite, so let me be polite with you. Let me completely put in my, this is not me wanting to do it. I'm actively told that that's how you're going to feel better, because now I've acknowledged you. And I've had people say, so why would you say you're sorry? Because I am sorry that they're offended. I didn't mean to offend them. I can't prove intent, but I know that I didn't mean it. But I'm not going to feel guilty or bad, because no, I didn't mean it that way. And I actively don't need to feel guilty or bad, because that's where I have healthy boundaries and a healthy sense of self. And I know that I can't fuck it up. I'm not going to feel bad every time I fuck it up. Do you know everything? I don't know everything. So this is that part of where when people actively want to twist as much as they want, they can keep twisting that there's nothing to bend. When you have a healthy self-worth, empowered self here, you know your intent. Anyone who wants to keep questioning it is bringing to their subjective experience, which is why you got a Cusco in town. Because if I've spelled it out to you once, and then maybe I'll try twice and thrice, and then you're continuing, it means you haven't heard what I've said the first time around. So like with my friend, the reason I learned from him is because he is an asshole, actively, meaning selfish asshole. Not because he wants to be mean to anyone, no, because he's never wanting to, and he has me and another friend. So he didn't build relationships to protect himself from being rejected, because there's some stuff going on within him since he was a kid. And so that's how he protected himself. But he's not alone, so it's a good thing. But that's the sad part of the masculines. The feminines are the ones who then hang out with these same masculines, because they all come together. The vibe does come together the way you hear about it, and it's actively because you attract that which you believe in, that which you feel. Because the words, they yes matter, but it's not as much as this. And so if you're not consistently growing the depths of your relationship with yourself, there's going to be that 16-year-old again, is where I put it, and I can see. That's why they're all Pinocchios on an island, when they're not continuing to expand. So they have a group, but long story short, the tower moments bring you the opportunity to expand every person, twin flame, flames, soulmates. They're all choice points for every person, feminine, masculine, equally. Right now we have a lovely new harmonization, once again, between masculine and feminine. And it's really beautiful, as always, to see all of those who welcome their self back home. And the ones who find their solace, we're happy for them too. Like my friend, they're a happy person. There's all these other soul age groups. So vibing at different frequencies is actively something that takes place. You don't have to stay at a vibe that is in the laundry place. You can vibe at enlightenment, because you are completely aware, mindfully, that love and life are unknowns, unexpected, and unwanteds. But love is actually your oxytocin gene hormone. So it's always on, because you're on. Because you're expanding. That's why we don't feel changed. The essence of love and life in form, you see right here. And so as a feminine, what I can say is your faith doesn't break, but it doesn't have anything to do with what's written. And I use the word spirituality because actively that's part of that mystic community, and it's actively bringing it all together. And then I use sciences and spiritual, you already know this, but masculine, the doing, the sciences, the logic, the 1, 2, 3s, feminine, the being, the body, the feelings, the essence, the sensations. So we only use the left to use words to express the right. That's why we can be stupid, because we're not actively doing logic. We're doing analogical, not digital. And so I'm letting everything sit in a pot. I'm cooking it. I'm tasting it. And I actually, if I cook ever, I need the directions. Just so you know, that's when I'm using my left mode, because I'm not as much of a practiced cook. But the men that I've met that can cook, they're good. I like men that can cook. And see, it's fun because when I think about it, it's like, wow, I can do a lot of things with feelings. But if you ask me to just wing it at cooking, I'm going to be like, no, I don't want to wing it. I need my exact doses. And that's funny, isn't it? So anyways, feminine, masculines, we harmonize that lovely breakthrough energy. It's amazing for the spiritual self-help, mindful living life, and love people, the people who like to be their self. So when you're being you and you're invigorated, you will every day have a new day and have fun with the loved ones. So again, those tower moments, they don't happen always in that big of a scale, but when they do, it's because you're getting a first quote-unquote hit at breaking free from the limiting beliefs that you were given. I'm not good enough, I will regret my life. So identifiers that live within a person who can, one, reclaim your inner child and then become the inner child adult. So that's like, if you get that hit, my friend, he didn't take it, but he did take something. He cherished me. We became friends again. He cherished the people that did support him in that really rough time. And he started to build a herd of people, even if small, that love him and that are still with him for till this day. And then he got a second whirlwind, if you will. And really, it's not true because that was mine. But he got after that, he got a couple and or more opportunities, and he's kept manifesting that which brings him what he needs in life and what he wants. And so actively with ascension energies, he's been able to find his spot. And so have a lot of other masculines that have embraced their 16-year-old and they live it, which is why, again, they're still a part of that 5D collective, if you will. But then again, I haven't talked in a while, so I'd have to double check that one. But I'm going to say 5D collective because they have found a happiness and they have meaning in life. And it is beyond the one self, okay? So that they can cherish and share life with another who has given and supported them so much. So their gratitude, they are grateful and they're living a life of meaning. And that is that 5D. So you're living from the heart and the mind. 3D stays stuck on that stuff, all the girl, the man, the money, they stay in the voidness. And so they continue to have shame and an armored-in child that doesn't ever see the light of day. And that's why that is definitely a different frequency now that I'm honing in on that. But to be continued, not important for our collective because our collective is those who want to lead with heart, mind, body, and harmony as you pursue lovely inner growth, mindset, mindfulness, mindset, and the spiritual life for those of you who are also spiritual, as well as my lovely 5D mystics. We're going to have a little bit more of episodes coming up. So meantime, thank you for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe, and share with anybody who you know has an interest in doing daily practices and hearing about fun stories and voices from your very own 5D mystic here in the Enlightenment Soul Age group. It's really fun. Join us here at IHP, and again, have a great day.